Tonight, as the world outside settles into a hushed stillness, we embark on a gentle voyage through time. We'll drift back to a period when the lines between art and science, invention and imagination, were not merely blurred, but often beautifully intertwined within a single, extraordinary mind. Our companion on this tranquil journey is a figure whose name echoes through the centuries, not with the clamor of war or the roar of revolution, but with the quiet, persistent hum of curiosity and creation. We speak, of course, of Leonardo da Vinci. Imagine a mind so vast, so endlessly inquisitive, that it seemed to contain the very essence of human potential. Leonardo was not just a painter, though his brushstrokes brought forth figures that still gaze at us with enigmatic smiles and knowing eyes. He was not merely an inventor, though his notebooks brimmed with designs for flying machines, diving suits, and intricate mechanical wonders centuries ahead of their time. He was a polymath, a true Renaissance man, whose gaze encompassed the smallest detail of a flower's bloom and the grandest arc of a bird in flight. He studied the human body with the meticulous precision of an anatomist, the flow of water with the keen eye of a hydrologist, and the play of light and shadow with the soul of an artist. His life was a testament to the power of observation, the beauty of perpetual learning, and the profound connection between the tangible world and the realm of ideas. As we retrace his steps, we won't focus on the bold pronouncements or the grand narratives, but rather on the subtle currents of thought, the quiet moments of contemplation, and the gentle unfolding of a truly remarkable existence. Imagine a gentle breeze rustling through olive groves, carrying the faint scent of cypress and the distant murmur of the Arno River. We begin our quiet journey in the year 1452, in a small Tuscan village nestled amidst rolling hills, a place called Vinci. It's here, in this seemingly unremarkable corner of the world, that a life of extraordinary wonder quietly began. You might imagine the soft light of dawn touching the ancient stone walls, awakening the sounds of village life, a distant rooster's crow, the clatter of a wooden cart, the gentle bleating of sheep. But for a little boy named Leonardo, these everyday sounds were perhaps not just sounds, but invitations to observe, to question, to simply be. He was born out of wedlock, a detail that might seem significant in a bustling, rigid society, but for him it seemed to grant a subtle freedom, a permission to wander beyond the prescribed paths. His early years were spent in the care of his grandfather, a quiet man who likely nurtured the boy's natural inclination towards curiosity. You might picture him, a small figure, with eyes that already seemed to drink in every detail of the world. Around him, he wasn't drawn to the rough-and-tumble games of other children in the same way. Instead, he might have been found by the riverbank, mesmerized by the eddies and currents, or in a sun-dappled field, sketching the intricate patterns of a butterfly's wing. It wasn't about simply seeing, but about understanding, about tracing, the hidden logic in everything. There's a quiet intimacy to these early moments, a sense of a mind slowly awakening to its own vast potential. You can almost feel the softness of the earth beneath his bare feet as he explored the gentle slopes, the warmth of the Tuscan sun on his face as he looked up at the boundless sky. There was no pressure, no grand expectation, only the unfolding of natural curiosity. Perhaps he'd spend hours watching a bird in flight, not just appreciating its effortless grace, but pondering the mechanics of its wings, the subtle shifts in air currents. This wasn't a scientific pursuit in the formal sense, but an intuitive one, a deep-seated desire to comprehend the how and the why of the world. His first drawings, simple as they might have been, were not merely childish scribbles. They were attempts to capture the essence of what he saw, to translate the three-dimensional world onto a flat surface, a challenge that would preoccupy him throughout his life. Imagine the quiet satisfaction as he managed to convey the texture of bark or the delicate curl of a leaf. These weren't grand artistic statements. They were the first whispers of a lifelong conversation with the world, a dialogue conducted through observation and creation. There was a gentle rhythm to his days, a quiet unfolding of talent and intellect, nurtured by the tranquil environment of Vinci. He was learning, not from formal lessons, but from the quiet wisdom of nature itself. The whispers of the wind through the trees, the patterns of light filtering through the leaves, the subtle shifts in the clouds, these were his earliest teachers, imprinting upon him a profound appreciation for the interconnectedness of all things. As you settle deeper into your own quiet space, perhaps you can sense the gentle rhythm of that long-ago time, the almost palpable sense of potential hovering in the air around young Leonardo. It's a peaceful feeling, isn't it? A reminder that even the grandest journeys often begin with the smallest, most unassuming steps, taken in quiet contemplation. Before you drift off completely, know that there's so much more of this tranquil story to explore. So, before you get too comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you truly enjoy what I do here. And if you're comfortable sharing, I'd love to know where you're listening from and what time it is for you right now. It adds another gentle connection to our shared quiet space. The quiet countryside of Vinci, with its whispering olive trees and gentle streams, eventually gave way to the bustling energy of Florence. You can almost hear the shift in ambient sound, the distant hum of looms, the murmur of voices in crowded piazzas, the rhythmic clang of a blacksmith's hammer. Around 1466, when Leonardo was in his mid-teens, his quiet world expanded dramatically as he entered the workshop of Andrea del Verrocchio, one of the most esteemed artists of the time. This wasn't merely a school, it was a living, breathing hub of creativity and craftsmanship. Imagine stepping into that workshop. The air thick with the scent of linseed oil, turpentine, and plaster dust. You might see apprentices grinding pigments, stretching canvases, and meticulously carving wood. It was a place of constant activity, a symphony of creation. For Leonardo, it was an immersion, a profound shift from the self-directed learning of his youth to a more structured, yet equally enriching, environment. He wasn't just learning to paint, he was learning the very craft of art. From preparing materials to understanding perspective and anatomy, Verrocchio was a master of many disciplines: sculpture, painting, and goldsmithing. This diverse exposure was a perfect fit for Leonardo's boundless curiosity. You can picture him, a diligent and observant apprentice, his eyes absorbing every detail of Verrocchio's technique. He would have learned how to capture the play of light on a bronze statue, the subtle nuances of drapery in a painting, and the intricate details of a goldsmith's design. It wasn't about rote memorization, but about developing a keen eye and a steady hand. He wasn't just copying, he was understanding the underlying principles that made art come alive. There's a beautiful anecdote, perhaps apocryphal but deeply resonant, of Verrocchio being so moved by the quality of a young Leonardo's brushwork on an angel in the baptism of Christ that he declared he would never paint again. Whether true or not, it speaks to the immediate and undeniable talent that Leonardo possessed. You can imagine the quiet pride, a subtle warmth spreading through him as his work began to be recognized. It wasn't about seeking accolades, but about the quiet satisfaction of seeing his visions take form. Beyond the technical skills, the workshop provided something more profound, a community of creative minds. He would have interacted with other aspiring artists, perhaps engaging in quiet conversations about technique or sharing observations about the human form. These were formative years where his innate genius was honed by the discipline of formal training and the camaraderie of shared artistic pursuit. The world of Florence, with its intellectual fervor and artistic patronage, was slowly shaping the quiet observer from Vinci into the visionary we now know. You can sense the quiet hum of growth, the slow blossoming of a mind destined to leave an indelible mark on the world. As the Florentine lights softened towards evening, casting long shadows across the workshop, Leonardo would perhaps linger, lost in contemplation, sketching ideas in a corner, his mind already brimming with possibilities. The transition from the rural quiet to the urban bustle was complete, and a new chapter, rich with learning and gentle discovery, had truly begun. Florence, during Leonardo's apprenticeship and into his early professional years, was a city bathed in the warm glow of the Renaissance, yet it also held its own quiet shadows. Imagine the vibrant streets, the scent of fresh bread mingling with the rich aroma of leather and spices, the constant murmur of human activity. For Leonardo, now a burgeoning artist, these years were a period of intense artistic and intellectual growth, but also one marked by a certain restlessness, a gentle search for his true place. He officially became a master in the Guild of St. Luke in 1472, at the tender age of 20. This was a significant step, signaling his readiness to accept commissions independently. You can imagine the quiet pride, a sense of accomplishment, as he took his place among the established artists of Florence. Yet, even with this newfound status, his early independent works often remained unfinished, a recurring theme that would weave through his life like a delicate, persistent thread. Perhaps it was a perfectionism so profound that no work ever truly felt complete, or perhaps it was his mind, always leaping ahead to the next intriguing problem, the next unexplored idea. One of his earliest independent commissions, the Adoration of the Magi for the monastery of San Donato, Escapito, remains an unfinished masterpiece. As you imagine him working on it, you can almost sense the intricate layers of his thought process. The composition is dynamic, filled with figures, each expressing a unique emotion. He was experimenting with light and shadow, with the psychological depth of his subjects, pushing the boundaries of what art could convey. Yet the work was left incomplete, a testament perhaps to his shifting focus, or to the sheer ambition of his vision, which perhaps outpaced the demands of the commission itself. This wasn't a failure, but a quiet demonstration of his restless intellect. Always moving forward, always seeking new challenges. During these years, Leonardo also encountered legal troubles, an accusation of sodomy in 1476. Though he was eventually acquitted, this period must have cast a subtle, disquieting shadow over his life. Imagine the quiet anxiety, the vulnerability of being scrutinized, the feeling of personal privacy being invaded. It's a reminder that even for a genius, life was not always a smooth, unblemished path. These moments of difficulty, though not dramatic in their historical impact, contribute to the quiet complexity of his human experience. They reveal a man navigating the social currents of his time, with all their prejudices and demands. Despite these personal challenges, his curiosity continued to bloom in Florence. He was not just painting, he was sketching the mechanics of flight, observing the intricate flow of water and beginning his deep dives into human anatomy. These weren't separate pursuits, but facets of the same overarching quest for understanding. You can almost feel the quiet intensity of his focus as he observed a bird in soaring flight, or meticulously drew the delicate musculature of a hand. Florence, with its vibrant intellectual life, its libraries, and its access to anatomical studies, provided fertile ground for these diverse explorations, as the Florentine sun would set, casting long golden shadows across the Arno. Leonardo might have found himself walking the quiet streets, his mind still wary with observations and ideas. The city was a canvas, not just for his paintings, but for his boundless curiosity. He was absorbing, learning, and quietly evolving, preparing for the next gentle turn in his remarkable journey. The light and shadows of these Florentine years were shaping him, preparing him for the quiet grandeur of his later life. The vibrant, if sometimes unsettling, rhythm of Florence eventually gave way to a new, grander stage for Leonardo. In 1482, around the age of 30, he made a momentous decision to leave his familiar Florentine world and travel to Milan, seeking patronage from the powerful Duke Ludovico Sforza. You can almost feel the anticipation, the mix of hope and gentle apprehension, as he embarked on this journey, perhaps on horseback, traversing the winding paths towards the Lombard plain. It wasn't just a change of scenery, it was a shift in ambition, a quiet yearning for a place where his multifaceted talents could truly flourish. His letter to Ludovico is a remarkable document, not just a plea for work, but a comprehensive self-introduction that highlighted his extraordinary range of skills, not primarily as a painter, but as a military engineer, a designer of bridges, an inventor of war machines, and only then, almost as an afterthought, as an artist. Imagine the quiet confidence, the bold vision, to present himself in such a unique light. He wasn't just seeking a job, he was offering a partnership, a mind ready to innovate and create on a grand scale. Ludovico Sforza, known as Il Moro, welcomed Leonardo into his court. This wasn't merely employment, it was a profound opportunity, a chance for Leonardo to immerse himself in projects far beyond the scope of traditional painting. You can picture him settling into the courtly life, a new rhythm emerging. He was not just commissioned to paint portraits, he designed elaborate court festivals, created intricate mechanical devices for entertainment, and advised on architectural and engineering projects. This was a period of immense practical application for his theoretical knowledge, a chance for his dreams to begin taking tangible form. One of his most ambitious projects during this period was the creation of a colossal equestrian statue of Ludovico's father, Francesco Sforza. This was to be the largest bronze statue ever cast, a testament to the Duke's power and a colossal undertaking for Leonardo. Imagine the meticulous planning, the detailed anatomical studies of horses, the complex engineering challenges of designing such a massive sculpture. This wasn't just art, it was a monumental feat of engineering and vision. You can almost sense the quiet intensity of his focus as he worked on the clay model, envisioning the final bronze form. Sadly, this project, like many others, remained unfinished. The bronze, intended for the statue, was eventually diverted for use in cannons during a time of war. It's a gentle reminder of how external events, the often unpredictable currents of history, could quietly alter the course of even the most magnificent artistic endeavors. Despite the unfinished statue, Leonardo's time in Milan was profoundly generative. He continued his anatomical studies, filling notebooks with intricate drawings of the human body. He explored optics, hydraulics, and botany. He designed fortifications and canal systems. The Milanese court provided a fertile ground for his boundless curiosity, allowing him to seamlessly move between the worlds of art, science, and engineering. You can almost feel the quiet satisfaction of a mind fully engaged, exploring every avenue of knowledge. The gentle embrace of the Duke's patronage allowed Leonardo to truly become the polymath he was destined to be, laying the groundwork for some of his most profound artistic and scientific contributions. Within the quiet embrace of his Milanese years, amidst the courtly duties and grand artistic ambitions, a deeply personal and profoundly scientific passion bloomed for Leonardo. The meticulous study of human anatomy. Imagine him not in the public eye, but in the hushed solitude of his study, or perhaps in a discreet chamber within a hospital, his mind consumed by the intricate wonders of the human body. This wasn't a casual interest. It was a profound, almost reverent quest to unravel the mysteries of life itself. You might envision him bending over a dissected cadaver, not with morbid curiosity, but with the quiet intensity of a scholar, a scientist, and an artist all at once. The air would be still, perhaps cool, and the only sounds would be the soft rustle of parchment as he turned a page, or the delicate scratch of his quill on paper. He would meticulously dissect and observe, not just the large organs, but the smallest muscles, the delicate network of nerves, the intricate pathways of veins and arteries. His aim was not merely to label, but to understand the function, the movement, the very essence of how the human machine worked. His notebooks from this period are a testament to this tireless dedication. They are not merely filled with anatomical drawings. They are a breathtaking fusion of art and science. You can almost see his hand moving with both artistic grace and scientific precision, sketching every bone, every ligament, every fiber. His illustrations are not just anatomically accurate, they possess a fluid beauty, capturing the three-dimensional form with an unparalleled understanding of perspective and light. He would draw multiple views of the same structure, cross-sections, and even imagined movements, all to convey a complete understanding. Consider the dedication it required. In an era when such practices were often viewed with suspicion or outright condemnation by the Church, Leonardo pursued his studies with quiet determination. He understood that a true artist, one who wished to depict the human form with absolute fidelity and emotional depth, needed to understand the hidden architecture beneath the skin. The beauty he sought to portray on canvas was rooted in the profound understanding of what lay beneath. His Vitruvian Man, though perhaps later, encapsulates this philosophy, the perfect human form as a microcosm of the universe, rooted in mathematical proportion and anatomical truth. There's a profound sense of wonder in these silent explorations. He wasn't just dissecting bodies, he was dissecting the very concept of life, of motion, of human experience, the quiet moments spent in intense focus, tracing the delicate pathways of the circulatory system, or marveling at the intricate mechanics of a joint, reveal a man deeply absorbed in the fundamental questions of existence. This quiet pursuit of knowledge, far from the clamor of court or the demands of grand commissions, was perhaps where Leonardo felt most truly himself, in communion with the silent, intricate wonders of the natural world. These anatomical studies, though not always directly visible in his finished paintings, provided a profound foundation for the lifelike quality and emotional resonance that would come to define his most celebrated works. Amidst the swirling intellectual currents and grand projects of Milan, a quieter, more intimate masterpiece began to take shape under Leonardo's gentle hand. Imagine him in his studio, perhaps a spacious room with soft, indirect light filtering through a tall window. The subject is a young woman, perhaps in her late teens, named Cecilia Gallerani, a favored companion of Duke Ludovico Sforza. The painting, now known as Lady with an Ermine, is not just a portrait. It's a profound study of character, captured in a single, timeless moment. You can envision the quiet sessions, not hurried or demanding, but infused with a sense of calm observation. Leonardo wasn't merely trying to render a likeness, he was seeking to convey the inner life of his sitter. Imagine him observing Cecilia, her posture, the subtle play of expression on her face, the way her hands naturally rest. He would have encouraged her to be at ease, perhaps engaging in quiet conversation, allowing her true self to emerge. This was not a performance, but a gentle unfolding. What strikes you about the Lady with an Ermine is the extraordinary sense of presence. Cecilia turns her head, her gaze directed slightly away, perhaps towards an unseen arrival or a quiet thought. Her hand gently strokes the ermine she holds, a creature known for its purity and a subtle pun on her name. The Greek word for ermine is galk, similar to Gallerani. The animal itself, rendered with breathtaking detail, seems to share her alert, intelligent gaze, creating a unique connection between human and creature. There's a profound intimacy to the work, a feeling that you, the viewer, are sharing a private moment. Leonardo's mastery of sfumato, that soft, smoky quality that blurs the edges and creates a sense of depth and subtlety, is evident here. It's not just about blending colors, it's about blending light and shadow to evoke emotion, to suggest the quiet complexity of a human soul. You can almost feel the softness of her skin, the texture of her dress, the gentle warmth of the ermine's fur. This painting speaks to Leonardo's deep empathy and his ability to see beyond the surface. He wasn't just painting a beautiful woman. He was capturing a specific personality, a quiet intelligence, and perhaps a touch of youthful melancholy. The painting feels alive, not because of dramatic action, but because of the profound stillness, the arrested moment of deep thought or subtle emotion. It's a testament to his belief that true art stemmed from understanding the inner workings of the human spirit, not just its outward appearance. As you contemplate this quiet masterpiece, perhaps in your mind's eye, you can feel the gentle, almost imperceptible shift in the light, the sense of a breath held, a thought unfolding. It's a reminder of how, even amidst the grandeur of court and the demands of powerful patrons, Leonardo could find solace and profound meaning in the quiet act of observation and the gentle stroke of a brush, bringing a human spirit to life on a wooden panel. The tranquil, productive years in Milan, under the Duke's patronage, eventually drew to a close. In 1499, the political landscape shifted dramatically when French forces invaded Milan, causing Ludovico Sforza to flee. This abrupt change marked a new, somewhat unsettled chapter for Leonardo. You can imagine the quiet disruption, the uncertainty of suddenly being without a stable patron, the feeling of a familiar world gently crumbling around him. He gathered his belongings, his precious notebooks filled with a decade's worth of observations and ideas, and quietly prepared to leave the city that had nurtured so much of his genius. His journey back to Florence in 1500 was not a grand procession, but a more modest return, perhaps with a sense of both familiarity and slight apprehension. The city he returned to was still vibrant, but also a place where he had left behind unfinished works, silent reminders of past endeavors. He briefly sojourned in Venice and Mantua, sketching portraits and perhaps quietly observing the unique architectural and engineering challenges of these lagoon cities. But his true artistic home, for a time, would again be Florence. Upon his return, Leonardo found a city where new artistic stars had risen in his absence, most notably the fiery and brilliant Michelangelo and the elegant Raphael. Imagine the subtle shift in the artistic atmosphere, a new competitive energy that perhaps felt different from the quiet, almost singular focus he enjoyed in Milan. Florence was a place of intense artistic rivalry, a city where commissions were fiercely contested. For a man who preferred quiet contemplation and the gentle pursuit of knowledge, this heightened competition might have presented a subtle challenge. One of the significant projects during this second Florentine period was the commission for a large fresco in the Sala del Gran Consiglio Hall of the Great Council. In the Palazzo della Signoria, the Battle of Anghiari. This was a monumental undertaking, designed to depict a famous Florentine military victory. You can almost feel the weight of expectation, the pressure to create something truly grand and impactful. Leonardo immersed himself in preparations, studying horses in dynamic motion, sketching the chaotic energy of battle, and experimenting with new painting techniques, particularly in caustic, which involved applying paint with heat. However, this ambitious project, like so many others, met with difficulties. The experimental technique proved problematic, and the fresco began to deteriorate almost immediately. Imagine the quiet frustration, the slow realization that a grand vision was failing to materialize on such a public scale. It wasn't a dramatic collapse, but a gradual, disheartening fading, leaving behind only tantalizing glimpses of its intended splendor. This unfinished battle on the wall became a poignant symbol of the challenges and disappointments that could quietly shadow even his most ambitious undertakings. Despite these struggles, his intellectual pursuits never ceased. He continued his anatomical studies, his observations of nature, and his engineering designs. Florence, with its rich intellectual life, still provided fertile ground for his restless mind. But there was a certain transient quality to this period, a feeling of being in between grand chapters, seeking a new stable haven for his quiet genius. The unfinished Battle of Anghiari served as a powerful, silent counterpoint to the quiet masterpiece that he began working on during these very same years, a portrait that would eventually become one of the most famous in the world. It was during these quiet Florentine years, amidst the architectural challenges and the lingering shadows of the Battle of Anghiari, that Leonardo embarked upon a portrait that would eventually become synonymous with his name and a symbol of enigmatic beauty, the Mona Lisa. Imagine him in his studio, perhaps a more intimate space now, not the grand halls of state. The sitter was Lisa Gerdini, the wife of a Florentine merchant, Francesco del Giocondo. This was not a quick commission. It was a long, gentle, almost meditative process that unfolded over years, from about 1503 to 1506, and perhaps even beyond. You can picture the quiet sessions. Unlike many portraits of the time that depicted their subjects stiffly posed and adorned, Leonardo sought something deeper. He likely spent countless hours simply observing Lisa, engaging her in quiet conversation, perhaps having musicians play soft melodies or jesters tell amusing stories, all to coax a natural expression from her. He wasn't just painting a face. He was striving to capture a living, breathing presence, a fleeting moment of thought or emotion. The magic of the Mona Lisa lies not in dramatic gestures, but in its profound subtlety. Her gaze follows you, no matter where you stand, a quiet intimacy that draws you in. But it is her smile, of course, that holds the greatest mystery. It's not a broad, overt smile, but a gentle, almost imperceptible curve of the lips, a delicate suggestion of mirth, or perhaps a knowing secret. This elusive quality is a testament to Leonardo's masterful use of sfumato, where the edges of her lips and eyes are softly blurred, making it impossible to pinpoint the exact moment her expression shifts. It's a smile that seems to shimmer between presence and absence, inviting endless contemplation. Imagine the quiet dedication, the countless delicate brushstrokes applied with infinite patience. He worked on it for so long, carrying it with him, refining it, never truly considering it finished. This was not a painting for a patron in the traditional sense. It was a deeply personal exploration for Leonardo himself, a scientific study of light, shadow, and the human psyche, disguised as a portrait. He was exploring how to represent the ever-changing nature of emotion, the very essence of human vitality, on a stationary canvas. The portrait lacks the ostentatious jewelry or elaborate costumes often found in contemporary works. Instead, it focuses solely on Lisa herself, allowing her inner world to emerge. Her hands are gently folded, her posture relaxed, conveying a sense of quiet dignity and composure. The distant, dreamlike landscape behind her, also rendered with sfumato, adds to the ethereal quality, almost as if she exists in a world suspended between reality and imagination. As you reflect on the Mona Lisa, you can almost feel the gentle weight of time that Leonardo poured into it, the quiet moments of deep concentration, the pursuit of an almost unattainable perfection. It is a work that speaks not through loud pronouncements, but through soft whispers, an invitation to gaze and to wonder. Its enduring mystery is not a puzzle to be solved, but a quiet echo of the boundless curiosity and profound artistic soul of its creator, leaving us with a feeling of gentle awe. Even as the enigmatic smile of the Mona Lisa slowly came to life under his brush, Leonardo's mind was simultaneously traversing vast intellectual landscapes, continually bridging the seemingly disparate worlds of art and engineering. Imagine him not confined to a single role, but effortlessly moving between the delicate stroke of a painter's brush and the precise calculations of a hydraulic engineer. This seamless integration was a hallmark of his genius, a quiet testament to his belief that all knowledge was interconnected. You might envision him sitting at a large desk, not in a grand studio, but perhaps a cluttered workshop, surrounded by parchments, rulers, compasses, and perhaps even rudimentary mechanical parts. He wasn't just sketching human figures, he was drawing intricate gears, complex pulley systems, and ingenious architectural solutions. The same keen observational skills that allowed him to capture the subtle play of light on a face were now applied to understanding the flow of water, the mechanics of flight, or the stresses on a bridge. Consider his deep fascination with hydraulics. He meticulously studied the flow of rivers, designing elaborate canal systems for Florence and Milan. He understood that water was not just a resource, but a force, and he sought to harness its power. You can almost hear the soft rush of imagined water, feel the smooth glide of a cog in his mind as he conceptualized new ways to manage and utilize this vital element. His detailed drawings of locks, dams, and irrigation systems reveal an engineer centuries ahead of his time, driven by a quiet ambition to improve the practical lives of people. His studies of flight were equally profound. He was captivated by the grace and efficiency of birds, not simply admiring their beauty, but meticulously dissecting their anatomy, observing the mechanics of their wings, and understanding the principles of aerodynamics. Imagine him sketching various designs for flying machines, ornithopters with flapping wings, aerial screws, and even early gliders. These weren't mere fanciful dreams. They were detailed engineering proposals, complete with calculations and annotations born from a deep understanding of natural phenomena. He wasn't afraid to fail. Each attempt, each new drawing, was a step closer to understanding. For Leonardo, art was not separate from science. His anatomical drawings were not just scientific illustrations. They were masterpieces of draftsmanship. His understanding of perspective and light, honed in his paintings, was applied to his architectural designs, giving them a three-dimensional clarity. He believed that to truly depict something, whether a human figure or a machine, one must understand its underlying structure and function. This quiet, persistent pursuit of comprehensive understanding allowed him to view the world as a unified whole, where the beauty of form was inseparable from the logic of function. As you reflect on this fusion of roles, this seamless blending of the engineer and the artist, you can feel the quiet power of a mind that saw no boundaries in knowledge. Leonardo's notebooks are a testament to this holistic approach, a silent conversation between his artistic soul and his scientific intellect, forever bridging worlds that many others perceived as distinct. The mid-1500s marked a period of increasing flux and gentle uncertainty in Leonardo's life. His second return to Florence had brought him face to face with new artistic rivalries and the quiet disappointment of the Battle of Anghiari. You can sense a subtle shift in his demeanor, perhaps a quiet weariness with the demands of commissions and the often fickle nature of patronage. He was a man of profound intellect and artistic sensitivity, and the constant need to seek out new sponsors could be draining, a persistent undertow against the currents of his creative flow. From Florence, his path led him back north. In 1506, he returned to Milan, this time not under the direct patronage of the now deposed Sforza family, but at the invitation of Charles II d'Amboise, the French governor of Milan. Imagine the quiet hope of returning to a familiar city, a place where he had spent some of his most productive years. This period was marked by a quiet duality, continuing his artistic pursuits, including working on a second version of Virgin of the Rocks, but also serving in a more administrative and advisory capacity for the French authorities. His time was spent not just with brush and palette, but with maps and plans, advising on engineering projects and courtly affairs. You can picture him attending quiet meetings, his mind absorbing the complexities of governance and logistics, even as his artistic sensibilities yearned for deeper creative engagement. He was a valued asset, but perhaps not always in the way he most desired. There's a sense of gentle compromise, a quiet balancing act between his profound intellectual curiosities and the practical demands of his patrons. The political winds, however, were ever shifting. The French presence in Milan was not stable, and by 1513, with the return of the Sforza family to power briefly, Leonardo found himself once again in need of a new patron. This cycle of relocation and seeking new opportunities must have instilled a quiet sense of impermanence. For a man who craved sustained focus and the space for deep inquiry, these external disruptions were a constant, gentle pull on his attention. was during these nomadic years that he might have carried his treasured notebooks with him, filled with the accumulation of a lifetime's observations. These weren't just personal journals. They were extensions of his mind, repositories of his ideas, experiments, and artistic visions. You can imagine the quiet comfort he found in their presence, a tangible connection to his inner world amidst the external uncertainties. Despite the political turbulence, his scientific investigations continued unabated. He studied geology, observing the formation of mountains and the stratification of rocks. He continued his anatomical dissections, further refining his understanding of the human body. These quiet, self-driven pursuits provided a stable anchor in a world of changing fortunes. He wasn't just surviving, he was continually learning, observing, and reflecting, allowing the gentle currents of curiosity to guide him through the shifting landscapes of patronage and power. These journeys, though sometimes turbulent, were also vital, allowing him to absorb new impressions and deepen his understanding of the natural world, preparing him for the quiet dignity of his final years. Perhaps the most profound and enduring legacy of Leonardo da Vinci isn't found on a museum wall, but within the countless pages of his notebooks. Imagine them not as neatly bound volumes, but as a sprawling, informal universe of thought, jotted down with furious energy, often in his characteristic mirror writing, from right to left. These weren't meant for publication. They were private conversations with himself, a boundless exploration of every corner of his curious mind. You can almost feel the quiet hum of activity that must have surrounded him as he filled page after page, day after day, year after year, as you drift into this quiet realm. You might picture Leonardo sitting alone, perhaps by the flickering light of a candle late into the night, or in the soft glow of a Florentine or Milanese afternoon. He wasn't just writing or drawing. He was capturing the very essence of his observations, his inquiries, his fleeting insights. The subjects leap from one to another with an almost dizzying fluidity. A detailed study of a human heart next to a sketch of a flying machine. An observation on the nature of light beside a recipe for paint. A philosophical musing followed by a design for a musical instrument. These notebooks are a testament to his belief in the unity of knowledge. For Leonardo, there were no strict divisions between art and science, engineering and philosophy. A careful study of anatomy informed his painting of a human figure. An understanding of hydraulics fueled his designs for canals. An observation of bird flight inspired his desire to build flying machines. He saw the world as an interconnected web, and his notebooks were the quiet thread that wove through it all, connecting disparate ideas into a coherent tapestry of understanding. Imagine the quiet dedication, the sheer volume of material. There are thousands upon thousands of pages filled with intricate drawings, meticulous annotations, and philosophical reflections. He documented everything: the curl of a wave, the anatomy of a horse, the mechanics of a clock, the expressions of human emotion, the geological strata of mountains. Every detail, no matter how small, was worthy of his deep attention. This wasn't merely collecting information. It was a profound act of engagement with the world, a desire to know and understand everything. The sheer intimacy of these notebooks is striking. They reveal a mind that was constantly questioning, constantly experimenting, constantly seeking to push the boundaries of human comprehension. You can almost hear the soft scratch of his quill, the quiet turning of pages as he recorded his thoughts. They are a window into his restless intellect, his profound sensitivity. and his endless capacity for wonder. As you contemplate this private universe, this quiet testament to a lifelong pursuit of knowledge, you can feel the gentle presence of Leonardo's genius. The notebooks stand as a silent monument to a mind that found profound beauty in both the intricate workings of a machine and the subtle curve of a human smile, leaving us with a feeling of gentle awe at the depths of his internal world. The constant search for patronage eventually led Leonardo to Rome in 1513, a city of ancient grandeur and burgeoning Renaissance power. Imagine the shift in atmosphere from the northern vibrancy of Milan, or the artistic fervor of Florence to the weighty, timeless presence of the eternal city. Here, the ruins of empires whispered tales of ages past, and the church held immense power, actively shaping the artistic and intellectual landscape. You can feel the solemnity, the sense of history pressing in from every ancient stone. He arrived under the patronage of Giuliano de' Medici, brother of the newly elected Pope Leo X. This was a period of both opportunity and subtle disillusionment. For Leonardo, while he was provided with a workshop in the Vatican's Belvedere Palace, surrounded by scholars and artists, his role here wasn't as central or creatively fulfilling as his Milanese years had been. Imagine him in this grand setting, perhaps feeling a quiet sense of displacement, a longing for the sustained, deeply engrossing projects he once commanded. His time in Rome was marked less by grand artistic commissions and more by his persistent scientific inquiries. You can picture him in his workshop, perhaps dissecting cadavers quietly, meticulously studying anatomy, optics, and mechanics. He experimented with mirrors, ground lenses, and delved deeper into his studies of light and shadow, the very essence of his artistic genius. He received visits from fellow thinkers and patrons, engaging in quiet discussions about philosophy and the natural world. Yet, there's a sense that his restless, independent spirit found the more rigid, ceremonial atmosphere of the Roman court somewhat stifling. One notable incident during this period involved a group of German artisans who secretly observed his anatomical dissections, leading to whispers and accusations. This incident, though not leading to severe consequences, must have caused a quiet discomfort, a reminder of the prevailing suspicion surrounding his unconventional scientific pursuits. Imagine the subtle sense of being misunderstood, of having his profound intellectual curiosity viewed through a lens of apprehension. Despite the relative lack of major artistic output during these years, his notebooks continued to fill. He documented geological observations from his travels, refined his designs for water systems, and contemplated the nature of existence. Rome, with its ancient engineering marvels, its vast libraries, and its influx of scholars, provided a rich backdrop for these quiet, internal explorations. He was an observer, a quiet learner, even in a city so accustomed to grand pronouncements and public spectacles. As you reflect on Leonardo's Roman years, you can sense the quiet weight of time, the accumulation of experience in a life lived with immense curiosity. There's a feeling of him taking stock, perhaps, contemplating the vastness of knowledge he had acquired, even as he navigated a world that didn't always fully comprehend the breadth of his genius. These were years of quiet reflection, preparing him for the final, peaceful chapter of his extraordinary journey. The gentle turning of the historical page led Leonardo to his final, most peaceful resting place, a place of honor and quiet contemplation. In 1516, at the age of 64, he received an invitation from King Francis I of France, a young, enthusiastic monarch who deeply admired Leonardo's genius. Imagine the journey across the Alps, perhaps less arduous now, knowing it was an invitation to a revered role, a gentle winding down of his active life. He traveled with his most beloved paintings, the Mona Lisa, St. John the Baptist, and St. Anne, and, crucially, his voluminous notebooks, the silent companions of his life's intellectual quest. King Francis I offered Leonardo the title of premier painter, engineer and architect to the king. This was more than just a title. It was an acknowledgement of his multifaceted brilliance, a recognition that encompassed all his diverse talents. He was given a charming residence, the Château du Clos-Luce, located near the king's royal residence at Angbois. You can picture this idyllic setting, a comfortable manor house surrounded by serene gardens, vineyards, and the gentle flow of the Loire River nearby. It was a place designed for quiet dignity and creative freedom. In France, Leonardo was not burdened by the pressure of grand commissions or the anxieties of finding new patrons. His role was one of esteemed advisor, a living legend whose wisdom and presence enriched the court. Imagine him engaged in quiet conversations with the young king, sharing his insights on art, science, and the wonders of the natural world. Francis, I treated him with profound respect, almost as a father figure, valuing his intellect above all else. This was a relationship built on admiration, not demanding patronage. During these final years, Leonardo continued to work, though at a more relaxed pace. He supervised various projects, including the design of a grand new palace at Romorantin, though this, like many ambitious schemes, remained largely conceptual. More significantly, he continued to refine his beloved paintings, particularly the Mona Lisa, carrying it with him, adding subtle touches, almost as if it were a living companion. You can sense the quiet satisfaction he must have felt, finally having the leisure to perfect his most cherished creations without external pressures. His days at Clos-Luce were filled with quiet pursuits. He continued to organize his vast collection of notebooks, perhaps attempting to bring some order to the overflowing repository of his mind. He received visitors, shared his thoughts, and explored the gentle landscapes surrounding his home. He designed intricate mechanical toys for the king's entertainment and advised on courtly spectacles. But these were pursuits of pleasure, not demanding tasks. The constant intellectual curiosity remained, but now it was pursued with a serene acceptance of the unfolding of time. As you envision Leonardo in the peaceful embrace of the French court, you can feel the quiet contentment, the sense of a journey nearing its natural conclusion. He had found a haven where his genius was truly appreciated, where he could reflect on a life lived in boundless exploration, surrounded by the echoes of his own profound creations. It was a peaceful sunset, a gentle and dignified end to a life of extraordinary wonder. As the gentle twilight of Leonardo's life deepened in the tranquil surroundings of Clos-Luce, his days became less about grand new creations and more about quiet reflection, a profound contemplation of the vast universe of knowledge he had explored. Imagine him, perhaps seated by a window overlooking the peaceful gardens, his gaze thoughtful, his mind still remarkably active despite the quiet weariness that comes with advanced years. The sounds around him would be soft, the rustle of leaves, the distant calls of birds, the gentle murmur of his loyal companion, Francesco Melzi, who cared for him devotedly. His hands, though perhaps no longer as steady for intricate brushwork or detailed dissection, would still have clutched his beloved notebooks. These thousands of pages, filled with his unique mirror script and breathtaking illustrations, with a tangible record of a life lived in ceaseless inquiry. You can sense the quiet satisfaction he must have felt in their presence, a private universe contained within their covers, a testament to every observation, every experiment, every fleeting thought. They were his legacy, far more comprehensive than any single painting or invention. During these final years, his mind continued to wander through his accumulated knowledge. He might have revisited anatomical drawings, pondering the miraculous complexity of the human body. He could have imagined the mechanics of his flying machines taking to the sky, even if only in his mind's eye. The laws of nature, which he had diligently observed and documented throughout his life, would have continued to occupy his thoughts, not as problems to be solved, but as wonders to be appreciated. There's a beautiful sense of peace in this final chapter, a quiet acceptance of the journey's end. He was surrounded by beauty, admired by a king, and cared for by those who loved him. The external world, with its political upheavals and artistic rivalries, seemed to recede, allowing his inner world to take precedence. The echoes of his genius, the silent ripples of his profound insights, were now his constant companions. He was no longer striving for public acclaim or grand commissions. He was simply being, a great mind gently contemplating the universe he had helped illuminate. Consider the vastness of what he achieved, not just in tangible works, but in the very way he thought, the way he questioned, the way he connected seemingly disparate fields of knowledge. He was a pioneer in so many disciplines, not because he sought fame, but because he was driven by an insatiable, quiet curiosity. His influence stretched far beyond his lifetime, subtly shaping the trajectory of science, art, and engineering. As you reflect on these final, peaceful moments, you can feel the quiet dignity of a life well lived, a mind that never ceased to explore, to learn, to wonder. The world outside was hushed, allowing the profound echoes of Leonardo's genius to resonate, a gentle invitation to contemplate the boundless potential of the human spirit. The final moments of Leonardo da Vinci's extraordinary life unfolded quietly. On May 2nd, 1519, within the serene embrace of close luce, imagine the soft light of a spring day filtering through the windows, perhaps a gentle breeze rustling the leaves outside. There would be no dramatic pronouncements, no sudden storms, just a gradual, peaceful fading of a truly magnificent light. You can picture him, now frail, lying peacefully in his bed, surrounded by the quiet comfort of his loyal companion, Francesco Melzi, who had been like a son to him. Perhaps King Francis I himself, who deeply admired Leonardo, was also present, offering a final gesture of respect and affection. The air would be hushed, filled not with sorrow, but with a profound sense of awe for the life that was gently drawing to a close. His final thoughts might have been as boundless and interconnected as his life had been. Perhaps he revisited favorite images in his mind's eye, the subtle smile of Mona Lisa, the intricate musculature of a human body, the elegant curve of a bird's wing in flight, the gentle flow of water. Perhaps he thought of the quiet satisfaction of a solved problem, the beauty of a perfectly rendered line, or the endless wonder of the natural world. His mind, which had encompassed so much, was now gently retreating, like a tide pulling back from the shore. There is a beautiful, if often debated, tradition that he died in the arms of King Francis I, a symbol of the profound respect and affection the monarch held for him. Whether literally true or a poetic embellishment, it speaks to the high esteem in which Leonardo was held in his final days. It paints a picture of a revered figure passing peacefully, surrounded by those who cherished his genius and his gentle spirit. His legacy was not just in the paintings he completed, the inventions he conceptualized, or the scientific discoveries he made. It was in his very approach to life, a boundless curiosity, an unwavering commitment to observation, a seamless integration of art and science, and a quiet, persistent quest for understanding. He didn't just see the world, he sought to comprehend its deepest mechanics and its most profound beauty. As you now drift deeper into your own peaceful slumber, let the gentle memory of Leonardo da Vinci accompany you. His life was a testament to the quiet power of observation, the beauty of endless learning, and the profound interconnectedness of all things. His journey, from the whispering hills of Vinci to the tranquil gardens of Clos Luce, was one of quiet discovery, artistic mastery, and scientific pioneering, always guided by an insatiable hunger for knowledge. May your dreams be filled with gentle wonder, inspired by the quiet genius of a man who saw the universe in every detail. Sleep soundly, and may your rest be as deep and profound as the mysteries Leonardo himself sought to understand. Good night.